Hello, I'm Arthur, and this is my third progress video. Now, while I have done some work on my Bretonians, I've been mostly focusing on my Team Yankee stuff. Me and Tracy has been working on building a local community for Team Yankee, so having my stuff, as much of my stuff assembled and painted as possible, will really help that a long way. So for now, I'm going to be just focusing on my Team Yankee until at least what I own is mostly painted and assembled. Now, as you can see, I have a lot of new stuff, but I don't have as much of my old stuff. And that is because my Team Yankee curse have continued to plague me. Now, after my last video, I started to, about a couple weeks after it, try to do some painting. I'll try to paint my 66 and my fists. And I was using the putty method, which is trying to put putty all over the model to get a camel pattern and then paint around it. But when you do that, you have to remember where you put in the putty is where you're not going to be painting. And it's kind of hard to wrap my mind around that. And when I did the fist, I made that mistake and painted too much of my off-white. So the pattern looked way too much like a cow pattern for me, and it just spoiled the camel design for me to the point where I don't want to do it. Also, like for my 66, I didn't even get as far as painting, and that is because when I put the putty on, I accidentally snapped the fenders. I broke them off. As I mentioned previous times, I don't have my tracks on because I want to paint them separately. But I did not realize that makes the fenders really fragile and easy to break. And over the last couple months, or 2 months I should say, I've been thinking up and working on ways how to fix my 66. And so even last week I had a plan of trying to fix it. And right before I started, I realized it wasn't going to work, so now I need to go to plan E to try to work on that. So that's the first time I tried to work on stuff after my last video. It did not work out. The second time is when I tried to prime my 11, which is actually here, along with my ejector marker that came with the model. That came with the Balance Boys box set, as well as a few other models. And after I primed them, I left them outside to dry, and the wind blew them all over. Now, on my ejector marker, that ended up cracking or chipping a corner of it, as well as completely breaking my 11. Now, fortunately, the 11 broke on the glue line, so it's really easy to fix. But between that incident and the previous with the fist in 66, this demoralized me. I didn't feel like doing any kind of modeling work for a while. Now, in the last 2 weeks, I've actually got back into it. I quickly fixed the 11, and I ordered some new stuff, which came in last week, and I started putting them together. So that's where I'm at. So let's get into the actual progress I've made. Now, I said I made a new purchase, and one of the purchases that came in was magnets. So now all my Abrams have magnets now. And speaking of my Abrams, my 11 is now ready to go to paint. It's primed, it's fixed, it's primed. Yeah, and it has magnets now, which I've been waiting on. So now I just have to paint it, ink it, wash it as well, and then I can seal it, and it's done. Now over here is my 12, which I still need some equipment, and then it's ready to be primed. This one over here is actually my 31, And for my 31, I did something a little different, where I wanted to use a different sprocket. Uh, and just to show what I'm talking about, here's a close-up of the model. You can tell from the back of it that it has a different sprocket, which is an L shape, which I believe which was produced on the newer models of the M1, because it didn't clog up mud as much, and I wanted something a little different. Now, I still need to add machine guns and possible equipment. It might be one of the tanks I decide not to have equipment on, just to be a little different, or I might eventually add equipment to it. So, but for the most part, it is nearly done. So that is my Abrams. Now moving on to the new stuff, I'm quite proud of. I got a box of A10s. You can see here. One is actually done. It's fully assembled and primed. So all I have to do is paint it and seal it, and then that model's done. My second E10, needs some finishing touches. I need to finish putting on the missiles, and then assemble his stand, and then that one will also be ready to go. Now I really don't use the A10s that much, mainly because it's kind of pricey and you don't always come in. But when they do come in, they're wonderful. So I actually might start using the more A10s now, that since I actually have the models. Now, another new thing I have, one of my favorite toys in the game, the M109. Now I actually have I bought 2 boxes of this because I normally always run 6 of them. So I have the full 6 for when I eventually finish everything. But for now, my first batch, which I want to call it, I want the very least put together 3. So I need to put together 2 more after this one. And here's a close up of the M109. So yeah, I need to do 2 more like him, and then a little bit later I can do the other 3. But yeah, just actually having the actual model now, I'm really enjoying it, because the size of that barrel is just amazing, and inspired terror to my opponents. One last thing about the M109 is for the model. The model is resin and metal. In particular, the machine guns is metal, and the barrels themselves are really thin and wiry, and in my opinion, just sucks. Like, I was not a fan. I did not want to deal with that. So instead, I use the spare 50 calibers from the Abrams spruce for my M109 here, which I think looks much better. Now, last but not least, I had also bought a box of VAF or ITVs. Now, I will be using them for VAS because I need some anti-air, or dedicated anti-air, as almost everything on my thing has anti-air. Now, I've opened the box. Uh, I have opened the box because I've done it unboxing on Tracy's channel. But outside of that, I have not done anything with that yet, because I know it's going to be more work than these other 3 things. The Abrams are almost done, so they're not going to take much more work. Also, the A10s were really easy to put together, so that was pretty simple. The M109 was also simple to put together. But the VAS, I know they're going to take a little bit more work, so I'm going to wait. Or not wait so much, since almost everything else is almost done. But I've been waiting until right about this process to start putting them together. So that's where I'm at. Also, I'm was gonna. There's no pictures of the Cobra yet, but I have actually started working on the Cobra. So next time, for my next video, I'm gonna have hopefully all this put together and finished, if not primed and painted, plus at least one Cobra. So that's the current progress I have, and see you next time.